So you guys want to know every Easter egg that was in the Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 7? Well, you're in the right place because we're going to be going over all of that today and breaking it down for you guys. I know this is a few days late, so let's just get right into it.
This is where the fun begins.
So right off the bat, we're introduced to a planet holding prisoners, and it kind of gives off that Jedi Fallen Order vibe, where they're on that planet taking apart the Republic cruisers and things like that. We see a ton of different species, and then we get to see the security droids that appeared last season in Episode 6. Then we get to see Migs Mayfield return, and then he is commanded by a droid to leave with Cara Dune. They arrive at the Slave One, and that's when we get to see Boba's new matte green armor. He got a sweet new paint job, and we also get to see his blaster, an EE-3 rifle, so that's pretty cool. They pick up Mayfield because he knows Imperial clearances and protocols, which makes him useful for getting the information to find Gideon. We cut to the intro titled The Believer, which could be a few different characters in this episode, but we'll talk more about that later. Now when they take off, we get to see the inside of Boba's ship, and you'll notice that the interior rotates so it levels out, which is a really nice touch that they added, which I don't think we've ever seen before. After making a deal, they travel to Morak, where we see the appearance of an HCV-W A9 turbo tank. These tanks were used for transporting supplies and prisoners. It was based off the HAVW A6 Juggernaut, which was used throughout the Clone Wars by the Republic. While coming up with a plan, Mayfield mentions that the base is run by ex-ISB agents, which we see throughout Star Wars, mainly in Rebels with Agent Kallus, but Moff Gideon is also an ex-ISB agent. While trying to decide who should go in, they ask Fennec, but she states that she is wanted by the ISB. So this could be a tie-in into the Bad Batch, where we get to see a glimpse of her in the trailer. So then they ask Boba, but he replies with, let's just say that they'd recognize my face. Which, yeah, there's millions of clones that look exactly like him, so if he walked in there, it'd be kind of hard not to notice. It'd definitely raise some red flags. So in the end, Mando agrees to go along instead. We then get a look at the Imperial Combat Assault Tank pilots, tank troopers for short. It was nice to have a little callback to when we first got to see them in Rogue One. While Mando and Mayfield are in the Juggernaut, they figure out that they're transporting Rhydonium, which is fuel that was used for ships. We also get a callback to Alderaan and Mandalore. Then out of nowhere, we see a group of pirates appear. When they showed up, I was half expecting to see Hondo from the Clone Wars and Rebels, but unfortunately we didn't. Although as pirates, I would have expected them to try and steal the Rhydonium, not blow it up, so they seemed kind of like freedom fighters. From the looks of it though, I don't think we've ever seen a species that looks like this one, so this was pretty new. In the end, Mando is able to hold off against the pirates until 2 TIE fighters show up and help them. While being cheered on by the stormtroopers, we get to see an appearance of shore troopers, so that's another callback to Rogue One. Once they are in the base, Mayfield needs to access the terminal to find out where Moff Gideon's ship is located, but he notices Valen Hess, an ex-ISB agent he used to serve under. So Mando goes in instead and removes his helmet to scan his face, showing that he's willing to do anything just to get information on Baby Yoda or Grogu. And he's really coming to terms with changing and having his helmet off less, not being so motivated by his cult to keep wearing his helmet, but he's actually branching out kind of how Bo-Katan is and Boba Fett is. He's getting more into what they believe in as Mandalorians. But back to scanning his face, I believe the reason it had to be a human to scan his face was to prevent droids and alien species from gaining access, which is why Mando was able to gain access in the first place even though he isn't Imperial. The scan completes and we get to see a map and the location of Moff Gideon, which Star Wars Theory actually narrowed down the locations he could be heading. And those locations are Nal Hutta and its moon Nar Shaddaa. This is located on the border to the Outer Rim and in an area known as Hutt Space, where the Hutt clan controlled this part of the galaxy. The other possible location is Kamino. Now in Legends, Kamino was destroyed, but in canon we still don't have a definitive answer, so we could possibly be seeing its return, which would be huge, because I can't remember the last time we visited a planet from the prequels besides Tatooine. After the scan, Mando is confronted by Valen Hess, who begins to question him, but he is saved by Migs, who mentions how he lost his hearing on Tanab, which is a planet we've seen in Legends and in the video game Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. Hess then offers them a drink for being the only ones that were able to return with the Rhydonium. While talking, they mention Operation Cinder. Operation Cinder was Emperor Palpatine's contingency plan for if he ever died. Palpatine created this plan that would destroy Imperial planets so he could make sure that the Empire did not outlive him. Here we really get into Miggs Mayfield's character because he was there during the operation and talks about how they lost thousands of men and innocent people. After shooting Hess, Mando and Mayfield exit out of the side shutters and Boba Fett picks them up off the roof. Using Boba Fett's cycler rifle, Miggs blows up the mining factory, which leads to the two TIE fighters from earlier coming back but to destroy them this time. They chase after the Slave One, but they aren't a match because Boba drops a seismic charge on them, which is a bomb that sends out an explosive shockwave. The first time we get to see this is in Attack of the Clones when Jango Fett uses one against Obi-Wan. But unlike Obi-Wan, the TIEs aren't able to escape the blast. In the end, they let Mayfield go, so he's free to return again, although they could have given him a ride off the jungle planet. The Slave One then takes off and they leave to go get Grogu. Fun fact, this is actually the first episode that Grogu doesn't appear in at all. Mando then sends a message to Moff Gideon where he recites what Moff Gideon said to him back in episode 7 of season 1.
Moff Gideon, you
have something I want. You may think you have some idea what
you are in possession of, but you do not. Soon,
In a few moments,
he will be back with me.
mine.
He means more to me than you will ever
will
know.
ever know.
And the episode ends there. I can't wait for the season finale. I have a few theories that I think are going to happen, and I'm going to share them soon. And we'll see if I get any of them right. Now, coming back to the question on who is the believer in this episode, I believe it applies both to Mando and Mayfield. Mando is starting to see that he will cross any line to get Grogu back from the Empire, while Mayfield believes that the Empire and the Republic aren't the same at all, which should have been obvious after Operation Cinder. What do you guys think is going to happen in the season finale though? Be sure to let me know down below and make sure to hit that subscribe button for more Star Wars related content, and I will be seeing you again soon. May the Force be with you.